to us. He is you can tell us about your title, but I just know that Benji is the guy when it comes to insights around spins, and he's going to be sharing everything he knows about promos and how we can optimize them, maintain sustained lift, and really make our retailers happy. So take it away, Benji. Oh, one last plug. We do not share your information. If you want more information from Benji or Spins, please go directly to spins.com. You'll find it all there. And we're going to do a recap at the end of this with Benji's contact information. So again, hit him up. There's some really, really great emerging brand packages that they have on offer. So without further ado, hit it, Benji.
Awesome. Thank you, Susie. Yeah, so we're going to talk about promo plans today. And like Susie said, if you want to get in touch, feel free to kind of reach out to the organizers and get my info, or you can send me a friend request on LinkedIn or whatever, or you can write Santa a letter saying you want a promo plan for Christmas, and then I'll come down your chimney and just do it in your living room after some milk and cookies. All right. But there we go. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of talk about promos with you all today. It's a very nuanced sort of world, but what we're going to kind of cover today are the basics and the more advanced basics of promos, and give you kind of some more up-to-date thinking about how we view successful promos and that sort of thing. So I think, if you've written a promo plan 10 times or 100 times or 0 times, I think you'll still find something interesting in this thing. And I'm happy to do some Q&A once it's all kind of said and done. So let's save our questions for the end, but feel free to chat them in the moment if you want to do that. I find that works the best. And I'm going to share my screen, and we can kind of get started. So okay, promotions 101. So my name is Benji. I'm a director of client insights at Spins. I would have been joined by my wonderful colleague, Allie Johnson, yet she is moving across the country this week. So good for her. So Spins, if you're not familiar with Spins, we're a data company, market research company. We, if you want to buy data on how CPG products are performing in the marketplace, there's 3 avenues, ways that you can do that. You can go to Nielsen, you can go to Circana, aka IRI, or you can come to Spins. And Spins specializes in the natural channels, so we have all the natural retailers and all that sort of thing. And we also partner with Circana/IRI to get conventional style data. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. I tend to specialize in brands that are like emerging, so that's like $0 to $10-ish million, maybe a little more, a little less, depending. But I love that segment of the industry because that's where all the excitement is, however, I have definitely worked with a lot of clients who are bigger than that, and while they're just as exciting, and we have lots of funny stories about all those, fun guys and their promo plans. The advice I'm going to be giving you is probably tailored a little bit more towards the SMB side of the spectrum, but a lot of it applies to anybody. So the questions that we get from our clients, not just small clients, but big clients too, are what should I look at? What are the promo measures that are really important? Because there's a lot of promo measures. And am I wasting money? That's the big one. Am I just flushing money down the toilet, right? Am I going to get a return on my investment? Because, trade spend is many brands is like top marketing expense. A lot of brands, maybe 15 up to 30% of their volume is sold on sale, for one way or another. So it is definitely a very expensive activity to engage in. And ironically, sometimes it's a little bit of an afterthought for a lot of people. So what we're going to kind of focus in on today is finding ways to make smarter investments with that big piece of income. So as a brand, what you want to do is up and to the right. You want to stair step your growth, right? And I think that a lot of people have been kind of bewitched by the hockey stick, model of growth, where funding was like, really low cost. You could get money very easily. Brands were just kind of like shooting off. And, but that's really kind of fallen out of vogue recently, especially when it comes to like investors, because they're looking for companies that are profitable and kind of sustaining like decent, growth over time instead of like exceptionally crazy, unsustainable growth over time. So when it comes to promotions, we like to kind of think about it like this. So if you kind of start over the course of the year, you start at this baseline, and in this graph, it's 100, right? Whatever that means. So, promotions, the whole reason that we do promotions, especially small brands do promotions, is to gain buyers. That is goal number one. Goal number two, and probably goal number three. All you want to do is get people buying your stuff. You don't need to worry about getting your existing people to buy more stuff or stuff more frequently. You don't need to worry about that quite yet. That's down the road. Right now, it's just really getting buyers to look at your product, pick up your product, put it in their shopping basket. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that, of course, but promotions are, a key way of doing that. And a lot of retailers, when you enter in a retailer for the first time, you need some sort of skeletal promotional plan. So they will probably require you to do promos unless they're an EDLP style retailer. So basically what you want to do is kind of monitor your base level sales over time with the goal of increasing them over time, right? So in this example, and just zooming out a little bit, looking at this, we see that this brand is at this baseline level, and then they do a promotion, and then their baseline goes up a little bit, and then they go off sale, and then they do another promotion, and their baseline goes up a little bit, and then they go off promotion, and then they do another sale, and they gain buyers the whole way down, the calendar year here. And that's really kind of what you want to do. You want to make sure that those promotions are successful, but ultimately one huge gauge of success for a promotion is that increase in base level sales that you'll see over time, because that means your products are like latching on to people. They're gonna buy it on sale once or twice, and then they're gonna be like, oh man, I can't live without this stuff. This is amazing. And then it turns from an incremental sale into a base sale, right? So speaking of variables like that and metrics, let's kind of talk about what we kind of monitor and which channels. So when it comes to SPINS data, like I said earlier, we have the natural channel and we have our conventional channels, which are provided to us by Circana. So the natural channel includes stores like Fresh Market, Fresh Time, Bristol Farms, Sprouts, yada, yada, yada. A lot of basically everybody except for Whole Foods Market, which is a Nielsen exclusive at the moment. And so right now, what we're able to see in those natural level retailers is basically just TPR or temporary price reduction data when it comes to promotions. So everything's pretty much coded as a TPR when it comes to the way we view it. However, in conventional channels, so your Kroger's, your Albertsons, your Publix's, Wegmans of the world, you're able to look at not just temporary price reduction, but also displays, features, feature-end displays, and special packs. So what are all those things? Well, temporary price reductions are the most common way to put something on sale. It's, according to us, it's a price decrease of at least 5%. It has to meet that threshold to be coded. And it doesn't have a feature or display associated with it. And so usually it's a sale tag, right? We can all see those in our heads. Next are features. And features are basically kind of flyers or newspapers, mailers, coupons, that sort of thing. A lot of retailers love you to participate in those. Of course, the cost of participation varies in that, so that's what that is. Displays. I think the conventional wisdom is that displays are a great way to invest your dollars in terms of promotions. However, they're very expensive to execute, especially on a big, basis in like Kroger, for example. But that's like buying an end cap or, a special like Halloween candy display, like this Baroque looking castle right here of Reese's Pieces and whatnot. So that's what kind of displays are. Shippers, smaller versions of that. And then there's special packs. Don't worry about special packs. I don't worry about special packs. They exist. It's just a special pack, but that's really the domain of big CPG. So don't worry about that too much. And the sort of metrics you want to make sure that you're monitoring kind of boil down into a couple different buckets. And that's like quantity of promotion so your promo and non-promo volume. So if you take your volume or your sales, right, say in dollars or units, and you divide it into two buckets. You divide it into the times when it was on sale and times when it was sold at reg price. Reg price bucket would be your non-promo volume, and your sale bucket would be your non-promo volume. Generally speaking, ratios for those for brands are usually 15 to 30%, sold on sale, right? Now, when it comes to quality, you have your base volume, your incremental volume, and your subsidized volume, okay? And without reading this and going cross-eyed here, base volume, simple English, is basically what you would have sold anyway. It's what we expect you would have sold at reg price. And it's based on a rolling average of the last 6 to 8 weeks and accounts for seasonality and stuff like that. But it's basically what you would have sold anyway, right? Incremental are sales that are executed because it was put on sale. It's what you got back because of the sale. It was like the interest, the unit sales due to you putting your product on promotion. And then there's subsidized. And subsidized volume is basically more or less people who were going to buy your stuff anyway, but then it was on sale and they got a sweetheart deal. Great for them, You can never really eliminate subsidization of sales, but you should be aware that that does happen. And there are strategies on how to reduce subsidization of sales, which I'll get to in a case study a little bit later. Lastly, the result of any promotion is lift, so whether that's dollar lift or unit lift. So what is lift? Let's learn about lift. Lift measures the impact of your promotion, right? And it's calculated as incremental divided by base times 100. And that'll give you a percentage. And when it comes to lift, there's no great number, there's no universally held number that just oh, awesome, because it varies. It's very category and brand dependent, and you should really not only understand how to calculate lift, but also start comparing it between your own promotions. So you could say, well, promotion A had 100% lift, promotion B had 300% lift. 100% sounds pretty good, but compared to 300%, doesn't sound so great, right? And also you should compare lift numbers between yourself and other brands that are executing promotions too, because that will really help you judge whether or not your promotions are the most successful in a market, right? So lift, very important to know, very important to calculate, not only for yourself, but for others as well. Another foundational part of promotions is being able to build product groups, okay? And this is a little bit of a plug for Spins, but product groups, so let me give you an example. Let's say you make soda, okay? You're a medium-sized soda company. So not only do you make 12-ounce cans of soda, but you also make 64 2-liter bottles of soda, and you make those cute little airline cans that are perfect for a cocktail during the holidays or whatever. You make different, types of products, right? Well, your strategy for those products is probably going to be different, and you're probably going to want to put them on sale at different times. Maybe you want to put the cute little cans on sale around the holidays, and maybe you want to do the 2 liters during the summer when, kids are having fun times, they're playing video games at their friend's house or whatever. I don't know. And maybe you want to put the cans on sale at a different time. So you'll have kind of product groups in a sense that are usually defined by some sort of common theme, right? And product groups, generally speaking, have to be in the same subcategory, have to have more or less the same everyday price, and be promoted or discounted at the same level, right? So that's kind of how you think about product groups. Now that's easy to do when you're the soda manufacturer and you're knowledgeable about your own products that you're making in your soda factory, right? It's harder to do product groups for the competition, right? So on the last slide, I was telling you should look at the monitor or look at the lift for your competition. Well, that's kind of hard to do if you can't accurately segment out those products. So for us, when I'm doing promotional analyses and I'm working for a brand and they want to know how the competition's doing, I had a chocolate bar client not too long ago, and they wanted to kind of hone in on how chocolate bars were doing, right? And they had certain brands they wanted to focus on. but they wanted to really focus on bars, so they could provide me a list of SKUs or UPCs to kind of build my product groups from, but they pay me to figure this stuff out. So this is how I figure it out. Basically, you take all the SKUs in a category. So for SS shelf stable candy chocolate, there's like in MULO 10,000 items, right? So it's the ton. And then using some of our attributes, we'll filter out a lot of it. We'll use product type. So we'll look at, because candy chocolate has like, nonpareils and all sorts of little, bags of things and whatever, chocolate coins. We filter all that crap out and we just want to look at the bars. So boom, right off the bat, we're down to 2,000 SKUs, 80% reduction. And then, my brand in particular was interested in the performance of like organic bars because their bar was organic and there's a price premium with organic, of course, so they wanted to get a little bit more winnowed down the SKUs. So we use organic to filter those out. We get down another 2/3, about 700 SKUs. And then we want to get rid of the, mini sizes and then like the, big 2-pound bars and stuff like that. There's not a lot, but we can use the size attribute to get that down. So then we're at a list of, 500 SKUs, which is a lot more, reasonable to kind of scan through line by line and code by brand and, all that sort of stuff and make product groups for the competition. So that way we can see like, oh, well, the lift on these items is going to be a lot similar to the lift on my client's items, and we can compare them more accurately. Now, when you're actually analyzing promotions, this is, again, a chocolate bar example, although you couldn't tell. And so this is kind of ripped out of our business intelligence tool, Satori. And so we're going to look here at 3 promotions that happened over time. Our data here in this instance goes back 104 weeks, so 2 years. And we're going to look at promotions. So every time the line in this chart goes up and makes like a heartbeat, kind of, that's when a sale happened, okay? And so when a sale happens, we start splitting our things out into base units and incremental units. So we'll isolate a couple of heartbeats here, and we're going to see which heartbeat was the strongest, okay? So the big variables when you're looking at promotions, and there's a lot of variables, but the big variables are your time, your distribution, aka execution, and your discount level, okay? So the length of the promotion. A promotion that's 2 weeks long probably isn't going to generate as much lift as something that's 8 weeks long, right? Makes sense. If all the stores are doing the promotion, that promotion will probably turn out better than if 75% of the stores were doing the promotion. Stores, of course, like, and like things like co-ops like NCG and Infra, a little different. But, generally speaking, when you schedule a promotion with a retailer, you expect that the promotion will be executed at all the stores, right? Unless there's some extenuating circumstance or something. I've worked in stores before. That doesn't happen. Maybe the dude that was supposed to print out tags got COVID and like no one else knew how to use the printer. Or maybe someone did print out those tags, but a shopper walked by and their big elbow knocked it off the shelf. And then no one replaced the tag, and then boohoo, your stuff was never on sale at that store in a de facto way, right? That happens way more often than you'd think. Grocery stores are chaotic, messy places. I will never forget the first day I worked at a grocery store. It was a Whole Foods market in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The store team leader was giving me a tour of the store. It was my first day there. I was the marketing team leader. It was really fun. I was so excited. And then we were on the pasta sauce aisle, and like in the span of like 6 minutes, 3 people dropped jars of pasta sauce on the floor. And someone came by and cleaned it up, and it's just like crazy in these places. It's just so chaotic. And that's why it's really good to have like a good broker partner or some sort of like field marketing team or something who can monitor what's happening in reality. Because the effects of reality will show up in the data, but sometimes they won't tell you exactly why, and you'll have to guess. So anyway, so time, execution, discount. Discount's the other big one, right? Are you going to put your stuff on sale for 10% or 50%? Like that, guess what? Matters, right? So if we look at these three promotions, all things being equal here, we see promotion A, this blue one, that went up 190% lift. Well, that's pretty good. Sounds good. And it generated, 43,000 incremental dollars. Okay, cool. So units high, dollars pretty high. Promotion 2 had less unit lift, but more incremental dollars. Well, you know what? That's kind of cool because you can't take units to the bank, right? Dollars are good. Now, promotion 3 only had 50% lift and pretty low incremental dollars, So what happened there? So if we look at these variables here, each promotion was about 7 to 8 weeks long. So let's just take that out of the equation. That's pretty samey, okay? The execution of the promotion, that varied kind of widely. So for the third promotion, it happened at 63% of stores. And the second promotion happened at almost all the stores, 94% of stores. So that's a big range right there. So maybe something happened with promotion 3 that, like on that store level, that made it less successful than it should have been. That's a hunch. Now, also, if you look at the discount level, we see the one that had the highest unit lift also had the highest discount, right? So it was almost 50% off, 45% off. So if your, discount level is high, generally speaking, hopefully your unit lift will be high. Your incremental dollars will be lower because you're putting your stuff deeper on discount. So I think promotion 2 probably had the best execution, it returned the most dollars at least, But which one of these was like the most successful? Well, it's a little up for debate because it really depends on what your idea of success is. Okay. And here's another example. I'll run through it in a second, but there's 2 trains of thought when it comes to how you should think about your promotions. You should figure out which camp you're going to be in. Okay. So camp 1 is being cash efficient. Okay. And there's a lot of great use cases for being cash efficient. Okay. So let's say you're in a retailer, you've been in the retailer for a while. They're not your primary retailer that you really care about. They're like 11th on your list or something, you still care about them, but it's not like your number 1 account, right? And what you want to do here is you really just want to protect your margins, So yeah, they're going to ask you to do promotions, but you're going to be like, yeah, I'll just do it 10 for 15% off. This is the most I can do. It's also the least I can do. But like you're basically just skating along here, and that's fine because it should be in service of your broader business, Conversely, if you're a brand who is trying to really drive your velocity or a retailer. Let's say you're like they're taking a chance on you. That happens a lot. Or you're trying to gain market share rapidly, and like put somebody else not out of business, but at a disadvantage, maybe out of business. Then you really want to go deep in promotions because like I said earlier, it's about like there's a fixed amount of space on the shelf. And generally speaking, there's a fixed amount of buyers in the marketplace at that marketplace, right? Whatever this retailer is. And your goal is to gain market share. And you gain market share by getting buyers, more or less, right? Simplistically put. So, if your objectives are really one of those 2 things, getting velocity numbers to a good point or to, steal market share from somebody else, you probably should really consider going deep, right? So, now you can kind of judge, and that's what this textual example, the table here, explains how you can equivalize discount levels to kind of get a lift by discount number, that will kind of help you judge whether or not they were successful. So the math in this is basically our everyday price for our soda, whatever, $3. Well, we're putting it on sale in example 1 at $2, and we're putting it on sale at example 2 for $1.50. So that's 33% off or 50% off, right? So the first promo, we saw a 300% lift, and the second promo, we saw a 400% lift, So which one was kind of more impactful? I mean, again, it depends on your objectives, but per point of discount, you got 9 points of lift for the first one, and per point of discount, you got 8 points of lift for the second one. And this just drives to the point, like, there is a law of diminishing returns, and I think that a lot of it's probably around BOGO level, 50% off. Like 50% off is a very generous discount. 85% off? I mean, what are you doing? Calm down with that. That's a little crazy. All right. You're really not going to gain that much more incrementality if you go crazy like that. So there's a point where you're just giving away the store. All right. Dips and hummus. Let's talk about dips. So we had a brand. So this is a case study for some client work we did in the last year or so. And the brand was like, I'm in this retailer. I think I'm doing pretty good. Definitely not the market leader. Definitely not, I'm in the top 10, but that's about it. But I want to learn from the competition who I should start to look at and maybe emulate. Okay. And also I want to know if my promotions that I am currently doing are worthwhile. So here's just some simple ways of kind of doing that. I know I said simple, and then there's like this literal eye chart right here. But I'm going to run you through this very simply. So we're going to look at brands, first of all, that are successful. So we're line 10, just pretend that's your brand. And we have no year ago growth, because we're new, right? And that's fine. But what brands are doing pretty well here? Well, brand C is doing pretty good in volume, pretty good in dollar percent change. Okay. And brand D is also doing the best in terms of growth, actually. So what's up with them? So basically, let's look at how much they're putting on promo at first. So their dollars percent promo. So brand C, they're putting a lot of their stuff on promo, like almost 50% of their volumes on promo. That's aggressive. Okay. And then we have brand D here that like none of their stuff's on promo. So that's a big difference right here, because they're both doing moderately well, but they're both taking two different strategies. So what's up with that a little bit? So we're going to dive into it. So if we look at brand C here and our brand, we're going to notice that brand C, like I said earlier, puts a lot of their stuff on promotion. 40% of their volumes almost 50% of their volumes on promotion. That's way more than the subcategory average, twice the subcategory average. So how's that working out for them? Well, let's look down here. They have actually a pretty decent incrementality. So that's like the quality of their promotion. The quantity is up here and the quality is down here. So their incrementality is actually pretty hot. Now, it's not much like our incrementality actually in this example is even higher, which is awesome, but incrementality is not the whole story. So if you remember what I said earlier about subsidization, right? So just to refresh everyone's memory, you have your base units, which is stuff you would have sold anyway. You have your incremental units, that is stuff you sold because it was on sale. But then you have the sneaky subsidized units that you need to start paying attention to if you're not already. And subsidized units are units that you sold on sale or you would have sold anyway, but they were on sale, right? So you're subsidizing these dollars. So if we look at these promotions here, this retail or this brand, they had a decent amount of incrementality, second to us actually, but their subsidization was really, 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 really high. Okay. And what can make subsidization high, right? So it's kind of funny. So in this example, we're going to look at like frequency of promotion here. So our brand, they did some deep promotions and they did pulses. Okay. So pulses, you did 2 weeks. 2 weeks here in Q1, 2 weeks in Q2, whatever, it's more like a heartbeat, right? Whereas this other brand, while their promotions were pretty successful, they were doing like long windows of promotion, So just imagine if you're a brand, or actually forget it being a brand. You go to the store. You're like, I want to try these chips. Cool. Oh, they're on sale. Neat. I'll buy those chips. Then you go back like a week or two later. Oh, wow, they're still on sale. Sick. I'll buy another bag. Cool. You go back 2 weeks later. Oh, I'm addicted to these chips. Oh, they're still on sale. Great. That's bad. That's getting into subsidization territory. Okay. Another way you can subsidize sales, this is a dip example here, would be we had a brand. They were putting like, I don't know, 50% of their stuff on promo, pretty significant. And their sales were actually down year over year. So that's like red alarm bad when that's happening. If you're putting a lot of stuff on sale and your velocity is not going up, just you like buy a paper shredder and just shred your money like in front of you, because that's literally all you're doing, right? So what was happening with them was they were doing something similar to these guys, where they were doing long promoted windows, which wasn't working out for them. But they were also promoting, they made like queso, right? You know, like queso dip. And and this sounds so obvious, you know, like all good ideas, they all sound obvious right after the fact, but they were putting their stuff on promo during Cinco de Mayo. Why would you do that? You know, like there is literally, and I'm sorry, plant-based brands. Some of you might be on this call. I know there's plant-based quesos. There's no true replacement for queso. It is just God's gift. You know what I'm saying, right? You know, and like Cinco de Mayo, that's when you buy queso. Like, you know, that's when you do it. And they were putting on sale on during that time. Why would you do that? Why would, if you were a cold medicine brand, would you put your stuff on sale during the winter? Of course you wouldn't, you know. So start to think about seasonality when you're kind of planning out your promotions, right? And as you're planning your promotions and judging their efficacy, and I will be sending out this deck later. This is like the money slide. So how are my promos doing? So this is your framework for how to think about promotions. Are they doing good or are they doing bad? So it's a flow chart, right? Okay, they're doing good. What should you do? There's a lot of words on here. Basically, keep it up. You know, whatever you're doing, keep it up. You know, if you did that intentionally, or if you're like a clown car that drove into a gold mine, whatever your strategy was to get to this point, keep it up. The only advice I would give you would be just keep an eye on what the competition's doing. Because if you're doing good, people will see that you're doing good and they will start to try and figure out why you're doing good. And once they try to figure out why you're doing good, they're going to pick apart when you're promoting, how deeply you're promoting, and they're going to start ripping you off, right? So make sure that you're monitoring that and you're adjusting your strategy as necessary. And I had a brand, they were legacy, amazing natural brand. You could find them in like every natural store, mass, as well as, you know, conventional stuff. Great brand. And they told me that they hadn't adjusted their promo calendar in 9 years. And after I picked my jaw off the floor, I was like, well, are we going to make it 10 or what are we going to do here? Because like 9 years is a long time to just kind of coast, you know? And like, just don't do that. You know, it is easy to do that, you know, because it's like easy to make commitments to retailers, you know, and they want to stick to those because retailers get addicted to sales, you know, because they have to comp against what they did last year, right? But don't be afraid to switch it up, because like as soon as you're doing well, like I said earlier, people are going to examine what you're doing and they're going to start to emulate it. And the best time to put your stuff on sale is right before the competition. And if you haven't adjusted your calendar in 9 years, everybody knows that you have an Earth Day sale. Everybody knows you have a sale in October. They're going to just plan around that and put their promo right in front of you. And then that's going to end up hurting you in the long run. And that's exactly what happened. So anyway, so let's say your promos aren't kind of performing up to snuff, right? So if you're kind of losing if you're losing money by running promos, look at your depth of discount. Are you not going deep enough? Are you going too deep? Really start to consider that. Do you think that shoppers may not be aware of your promotion? Well, TPRs aren't the only answer. You know, you can kind of do digital placements, features, displays. You know, if you have the budget for that sort of thing, you know, those can all be like really great vehicles to kind of park your money and, you know, spend to get some additional lift. And then if you're seeing a lot of subsidization or not a lot of incrementality, especially vis-a-vis the competition, then it's like start to look at your windows. And if anyone's promoting at the same time as you, you know, that can be bad. You know, if you and a competitor or major competitor are kind of overlapping with one another. So to wrap up, you know, the three things I'd love for you guys to remember are just like be intentional. You know, 2024 is around the corner. You know, get your New Year's resolution out and say, hey, I'm actually going to pay attention to this year. If you're not already, you know, or if I have been paying attention to it, I'm going to make it even better. I'm going to make this work for me the best that it can, So be intentional about your goal. Set a goal. Just set a goal. Like, do I want to, and think back about what your goal is. Do I want to be cash efficient, or do I want to drive my velocity or gain market share? What's the business's goal, and tie the promotional strategy back to that. Second, make sure that you're using the best promotional type. Basis is TPR, but there's feature and display, that sort of thing. Obviously, those have associated costs, but they can have impact. So something to think about. You might want to shift your money into a different vehicle for the new year. And then just like pay attention to what's happening, So on a monthly basis, look at the execution of these promos. I said earlier, oh, maybe somebody's elbow knocked a shelf tag off the shelf or whatever. You can send people out in the field and kind of look at that and get some anecdotes about it, or you can monitor the store level data that kind of comes back and say like, oh, well, these stores are executing these promos consistently. That's great. There will always be issues here and there. But on the whole, if these stores are doing it, that's great. If they're not doing it, then engage your sales team or your broker team or whatever, to go fix that. Quarterly basis, make sure that you're hitting your lift goals, which you should have established if you're being intentional. And then annually, especially like right now, like what'd you learn from this year? If you had 4 promotions and one of them sucked, what are you going to do next year? Do the same one, or are you going to switch it up? Was that 15% off a little too milquetoast for you or for the consumer, or was it actually, should you go deeper with that? Should you do it at a different time? Just get rid of the weakest one. So make it better.
Dale Road, then turn right.
And I hope whoever's driving in your car, you're safe. But anyway, for more information, you can absolutely email growth@spins.com if you'd like to learn more about, spin services and stuff like that. But we have this time now to kind of chat about all sorts of stuff, or you can just hit me up on LinkedIn or however you like to engage. But I think for the rest of the time being, I'll take a look at the chat. There it is, chat. Maybe not. And if you have any questions, happy to, there's chat. No questions in there so far. So if you have an in-person question, tell me what's going on.
I have a question.
Okay.
Well, we find that there's kind of a spectrum. There's some promos we do because it'll keep the customer happy. We have a long-term retail relationship. They're bugging us. It's kind of like just to shut them up. We give them something. And that's worth it to maintain the relationship, right? But then on the other hand, we have something like a Costco end cap, which is the one lift and hold analysis that I've ever done that really showed something. I mean, when we put in a Costco end cap on, you could see it. It was like bang, bang, Every other promo we've done, we do, 50 cents or $1 off different product groups for 2 weeks here, and then wait 2 weeks and then do it again. You never really see much that you can take to the bank. I mean, you can see it, you can see a little bit of lift. And so we kind of argue internally about, do you only do promos that show significant, something you can really see? Or do you just got to do it anyway because you're in the industry and everybody else is, and you just kind of have to maintain your place, So I guess I'm kind of asking, are promos worth doing that don't show significant lift and hold that you can put on a chart? You know what I mean?
I don't. If you're comfortable sharing this, what subcategory is this in?
We're bakery.
Bakery. Okay, interesting. All right.
Yeah. Cool. And then another complication that just to throw into the mix is that when you get a new customer, a lot of times you want to promote with them, but of course you're not going to have a baseline to compare against. And so you're never going to know if it did any good, but it's still worth doing because you're promoting, you're supporting your new project, but you can't compare it to a baseline because there is no baseline.
Yeah.
And that's another gray area that makes it a little harder. You know what I mean? I just find that you can't make all these decisions based on real hard data,
I'd say, that's where like the competitive nature of promotions and the competitive view comes in really handy, right? Because like, okay, if you're saying, well, I'm doing, I got this like big promotion and I'm spending all my, majority of my trade marketing budget on for Costco, I got to lock and load that in. There's something to be said for just satisfying people and doing a promotion here and there because you gotta, it's like a necessary evil. I 100% understand that. But if you're doing that a lot and you're like, well, I just want to understand, like, I know what my lift is, or I can calculate my lift on this stuff, but open it up and say, what are these other people kind of doing and what kind of similar discounts and lifts are they getting to? Because, if you're in the ballpark for, like compared to those guys, then, yeah, that's just the way life is, and maybe that's cool. But if there is a competitor in there that's especially, you're seeing their velocity numbers increase a lot, or they're gaining market share, like from you, even worse, then, and if promotions are kind of a strong part of their thing, you'll be able to see the lifts in there, and they might be doing something a little bit that's disrupting a category, so I would definitely just say, like, take a hard look at the competition, because you may be right on the money or not, and only the data would be able to tell you which way that's kind of going.
But
Okay, well, thank you.
I agree with you. There's a lot of politics involved that data can't necessarily inform us on. And to your point, there are certain expectations that come with deals that you make with retailers. So I hear you. And I wonder whether, knowing that you have to make some sort of a commitment, taking Benji's idea on timing and timing it in front of the competition based on historical data, that might be your ticket to both satisfy the politics, but actually see some solid lifts.
On that, I was just talking about that yesterday, as a matter of fact. It's awesome, Susie. Yeah, like, a retailer will often say, well, we want X promos per year.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So you'll do that. And like, and like, if you've done that a year or two, even a year is fine, like, and you saw, hey, like, this was okay. This was just okay. You could kind of go back to them and talk to your buyer and say, like, look, I mean, I love you. I found this out and I'd love for, your thoughts on it, because like, I really feel like if we altered up the strategy here a little bit, and maybe we went from 4 promos a year to like 2 deep ones or something like that. I have a hypothesis that I'd love to test here, because, the buyer, as much power as they have, like, I mean, you've met these people. They're all just like incredibly overworked, like running around with a stack of papers and they're flying around, it's just like a cartoon, like they don't have time to analyze promotions at the brand level to maximize lift, because like their whole mindset and like goals are radically different from yours, and like, just to give you like a real life example of this, I had a rice company. Okay, so the rice company was our client. They were like, 4th generation farmers, women owned business too. It was amazing product, amazing company. And they were doing great. And, but they weren't doing great at one retailer that is very known for BOGOs. I'll let you guess who that is. And so what was going on was like I showed that graph. It's like stair step, right? You're not on sale, you're on sale, you're not on sale, you're on sale, but you go up, right? And they were going down, actually. So what was happening was they somehow committed to doing 10 BOGOs in 1 year for 24-ounce bags of rice.
Wow.
Now, unless you like, I don't know, run a Panda Express or something, like, what are you doing with that much rice? Like, it was great for, I was about to say their name. It was great for retailer X, but it wasn't great for the brand, and that is just a like pretty extreme example of where interests diverge, right? So I mean, like that is just out of control for them, and I gave them advice on that. It definitely changed this up, because it was like, you talk about subsidization. I mean, like, whoa, that was like crazy. So again, know the mismatch in interest there, and also know that like there is also like an attention mismatch too, because you know the buyer has like 100 million things to deal with, and you're just one on the list, you know. So they know about you, but they're not going to pay attention to the minutia. And so it's your job to kind of go to them with like insights
With a
and show
plan.
them that you can kind of make their life a little bit better. And that is the foundation of a good working relationship.
That's awesome. Are there any other questions for Benji before we wrap up? We are a few minutes past our 12:45. All right. Well, hit him up, guys. Again, spins.com. Benji put his LinkedIn contact information in the chat. So clearly a man who knows his stuff. And promos, I mean, I certainly learned a lot. I can't wait for the wrap up. And just so you know, you will receive a wrap up with a link to the deck, Benji's contact information, and anything I forgot, Benji?
Have a happy holiday.
Have a happy holiday, everyone. All right. Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.